This is the Louie Tee Network.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie Tee? Welcome. You are here on lockdown coverage, breaking down every single game in the National Football League here on the Louie Tee Network, covering the league like a blanket. It's lockdown coverage. Talking Philadelphia Eagles at home in the first ever start for rookie quarterback Carson Wentz versus the Robert Griffin III led Cleveland Browns under new head coach Hugh Jackson. So, very intriguing football game. Lots to discuss. But before we do that, if you're a new visitor, first time here on the channel, welcome. And subscribe to the Louie Tee Network for more great content now and into the future as we continue to cover this entire season like a blanket here on Lockdown Coverage. Also on Twitter, at In the Lab Room is the Twitter handle. You want your voice to be heard, use the hashtag #LouieTLive, whether you're on the actual live feed or you're on Twitter, to leave me a comment that I will read later on in the program. And there's also Facebook. In the Lab Room is the Facebook page. Give me a thumbs up there as well. So let's talk about the things that I like, dislike, banana in the tailpipe for this football game with the Eagles and the Browns. We'll start with the road team, the Browns, and we'll start with the first half for the Browns. Things that I liked in this game. I like the defense holding Philadelphia to a field goal after the fake punt, okay? The Eagles had a little bit of momentum there. I don't know why Hugh Jackson thought it was a good idea to try a fake punt. Hugh's always been a risk taker, but not in the first game, not when you're at your own 35-yard line, not a smart move. Defense was there to pick him up, however, not surrendering a touchdown, only giving up a field goal, and it seemed to spark this football team as a whole as they were able to get that stop and force the Eagles to kick a field goal after, to me, what was a poor decision to fake a field goal by Hugh Jackson. Terrell Pryor was on my likes list early in the ball game, made a huge diving catch, also had some good catches, one over the middle where he bobbled it. Had he caught it cleanly, might have been able to pick up even more yardage on the play, but Terrell Pryor looks the part of a big-time threat for this Browns offense. If they can ever figure out ways to get him the football more, they could be even more dynamic on the offensive side of the football. Let's go to the likes for the Eagles in the first half. I thought the opening touchdown drive was spectacular. Carson Wentz looked great. He looked comfortable. I love the way that they found ways to get him out of the pocket. Zach Ertz with a one-handed grab. That's why you paid him the big contract in the offseason. He's worth every penny of it. It was a really good drive despite having a drop. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. On that drive, he was able to overcome that, persevere, and get his team into the end zone with a gorgeous throw to the corner of the end zone to Jordan Matthews. You can't do it much better. He couldn't have ran and handed him that football any better. He breastfed him a beauty in the corner. Matthews was able to hold on to the football this time for the grab and a touchdown on that opening possession. The accuracy on that possession and throughout this game was what you've come to expect from him. Seeing him in college, I told you I thought he was the best quarterback in his draft class. I'm not backing down from that. Thought the Rams made a mistake by passing on him. Thought the Browns made a mistake by passing on him. I think the Eagles are going to be the beneficiary of getting Carson Wentz. And like I said, when I was talking about this game in my breakdown of it leading up to the game, I said, look, if you want to give this young man some confidence, here's a great example of how you do that. This is a Browns defense that's bad. And they proved it again today. A lot of open receivers running wide open. Carson Wentz was able to find them and hit them. This is the kind of game that builds confidence, and this was a Browns team that was going to allow him to do that, and he did that, especially early in this ball game. Mighty Mike with the punt return in the first half was also on my likes list. This guy continues to chug along. He gets older. It doesn't seem like he gets any slower or quick or any less faster or quicker. Was able to make a big punt return, gave the Eagles some great field position, ended up resulting in a field goal. Good to see him continuing to make plays, and I like the fact that they found ways to get him the football on offense as well. Thought that his role was kind of diminished offensively last year. It'd be good to see him get back in the fold there as well. Let's go to my dislikes for the first half for both teams. starting with the Browns, Gary Barnidge had 2 drops. The first play of the game, you're looking to get Robert Griffin III into a rhythm, give him some confidence. You run a bootleg. Gary Barnidge is wide open, probably going to pick up 4 or 5 yards on the play, give you some nice rhythm and a little bit of tempo, get you into a nice, manageable second down situation, and he drops football. And then down the field, 2 possessions later, Robert Griffin III throws him a great ball, an opportunity for him to catch it, maybe even get up the field, but okay, you get tackled. It's going to be about a 25-yard gain. Instead, he drops the football. Gary Barnidge struggled in this game. Remember, before last year, Gary Barnidge was a journeyman tight end that hadn't done anything in this league of note. Last year, he goes bonkers, catches all these passes, makes all of these plays, and all of a sudden, he looks like a real option in Cleveland. But I haven't been impressed with him this preseason. Wasn't impressed with him in this game. He needs to step up because Robert Griffin III needs guys to make plays around him. He cannot do it by himself. 2 drops by Gary Barnidge on my dislikes list in this football game, especially in the first half. The fake punt, I talked about it already. Didn't like the decision there. You're already down trailing in this game. I know you want to create a spark. That's not the place nor the time for that in this ball game. You're too deep in your own territory. You don't have any momentum. You weren't catching anybody off guard or by surprise. I don't think you had a basis for this. You hadn't seen anything from the Eagles special teams wise that would suggest that this was open and it would work. I think you just went by the seat of your pants and said, hey, why not give it a try? It's the first game. Maybe they're not expecting it, and they were, and it was a bad play. It was poorly executed, and the Eagles got great field position and ultimately got points out of that deal. Corey Coleman dropping the football. All right. Yeah, he's a rookie. I told you this when I broke him down. He does not have natural hands in catching the football. So to expect drops would probably be smart on your part. Now, I don't think he's going to drop the football all the time. We saw him catch a deep ball, and I'll talk about that a little bit later on in the second half. However, just know that there are going to be drops that come with Corey Coleman. I didn't think he was worthy of being the first receiver selected in the 2016 NFL draft, but so what? He is. He's got speed. He's got some things that he brings to the table. Just know he's going to drop the football like he did on this particular play, and it was going to be a nice gain. Perfect throw by Robert Griffin III over the middle of the field. Some space to operate. Who knows what happens if he comes down with it? He didn't. So, rest is history. Eagles, first half dislike was 1. The missed 46-yard field goal by Caleb Sturgis. Can't miss that kind of field goal. Okay, 46 yards, not that long in this league. It's long enough, but it's not that long in this league. You killed the momentum. Got to have those points if you're the Eagles. You were up 7-0, looking to go up 10-0 at the time. Misses a field goal, gives the Browns a little bit of momentum. So just need to hit that field goal, simple as that. You go to the second half likes. We go back to the the Browns, and it's the Corey Coleman deep ball. He caught the ball. It was underthrown. You could argue, was it purposefully done, or did he just underthrow the football? Either way, he was able to come back on 2 defenders, and a third actually entered the picture, and Corey Coleman still able to come down with the football. And this is what he brings to the table, a little bit of speed, but also the ability to go and get the football. He did that on this play. It was the lone bright spot in a very dark and grim second half for the Browns. It's the only thing that I have on my likes list for the Cleveland Browns in the second half of this ball game. Let's go to the Eagles in the second half and the things that I like. A ballsy 4th and 4 call by Doug Peterson. They weren't out of the woods yet in this ball game. You don't convert here. You give up some field position, and maybe you even create a spark for the Browns. Carson Wentz able to convert on 4th and 4 to Zach Ertz and keep that possession going. And I think ultimately they ended up with a touchdown. I think they ultimately got a field goal out of that, if I'm not mistaken. But still, points nonetheless. Either way, whether it's a touchdown or a field goal, ballsy call, and it ended up resulting in points for the Eagles. Shows a lot of confidence in your rookie quarterback to be able to execute on 4th down. Gorgeous throw. And if I'm not mistaken, that 4th down conversion led to this. The touchdown throw to Nelson Aguilar for a touchdown. So if I'm not mistaken, I believe that's how the sequence of events transpired. He throws the pass to Zach Ertz on 4th down, and I want to say the very next play, if not very next play, 2 plays later, he throws another marvelous pass in the corner of the end zone to Nelson Aguilar. This is about 37 yards or so, and he couldn't have run up and handed this football to Nelson Aguilar. And good to see Nelson Aguilar actually catch the goddamn football, because he's another one of these guys that has suffered from the dropsies throughout his career, and it's a young career. Remember, he was a rookie last year. Thought he struggled catching the football, did Nelson Aguilar last year at times. Good to see him hang on to that football, catch it, get into the end zone. Well-thrown football by Wentz. Again, showing the Browns what the game's been missing. Said, hey, look, you could have had this. You instead bypassed on me. Now you got to deal with whatever you're dealing with over there while I'm over here balling with the Eagles. So another gorgeous throw for Carson Wentz to get this team into the end zone and really put this game out of reach. Let's get to the dislikes for both teams in the second half. Go to the Browns again. And Robert Griffin III missing Andrew Hawkins for a touchdown. You come out and you get the big play to your rookie Corey Coleman to start the third quarter. You get a field goal off of that possession, but it didn't have to be a field goal, okay? The score was then cut to 10-13. You could have taken the lead at 13-14 if Robert Griffin III hits a wide open Andrew Hawkins in the end zone, had at least 2 steps, might have even been more on the defender, and he just overshot him in the end zone. You don't get opportunities, especially if you're the Browns. You don't get opportunities like that often. You can't afford to miss that pass. He did, and it cost them. And that was really their final opportunity at scoring in this ball game. Had he connected and they scored a touchdown, it changes this game drastically. Instead, you miss on an opportunity, settle for a field goal, never get down there again. High snap, to me, and the subsequent safety that followed the high snap as it dribbled into the end zone and then later on out of the back of the end zone, to me, that was the turning point in this game. That's where this game was lost for the Browns. They never rebounded from that poor snap by center Cameron Irving. They're down deep in their own territory. He snaps the football over the head of Robert Griffin III, puts some hot sauce on it, not to mention it being high. It trickles out of the back of the end zone for a safety. The Eagles then take that safety, parlay it into a touchdown, and just like that, 9 consecutive points. And just like that, this game went from 13-10 to 22-10, and the Browns simply never recovered from that safety. It was the big defining play in this game for the Cleveland Browns, as they never, ever recovered from that high snap and safety. Robert Griffin III getting banged up in this game, hurt his shoulder, hurt his arm, takes a shot going towards the sidelines. Eagles defender pushes him in the back as he's running out of bounds. He then ultimately runs into another Eagles defender who is right there by the sidelines, and he gets injured. So, he hurt himself. He got abused in this game, as he's going to endure however long he's out there. As you saw in this game, he might not be out there very long, okay, because it looked like he should have come out of this game, but he wanted to stay in, and they let him come back in late in this ball game. Bottom line is, he's a guy that's going to take some shots, and I actually thought the pass protection wasn't that bad in this game. He's got to make quicker decisions with the football, but at the end of the day, he's a guy that gets injured often. You saw it in this game, got hit again, he got banged up. We'll see how long he's able to last. I don't anticipate it being the entire season, because that's just not the track record that has been displayed by Robert Griffin III throughout his career. Let's get to the Eagles and their second half dislikes for me. Allowing Corey Coleman to catch the football on 2 defenders that never, ever even looked for the football. That was an afterthought, looking for the football. They actually had a 3rd defender come in late. You can't have that if you're the Eagles. You got 2 guys right there in position to make a play, and neither one of them decided that it was a smart nor a good idea to look for the football, give up a big play. Luckily enough for them, Robert Griffin III could not connect with Andrew Hawkins a few plays later to really capitalize off of that deep ball, or else that would have really stung. They instead had to settle for a field goal, and the rest was history. Also, Jordan Matthews continues to drop football. That's the second drop. He had 2 drops, one in the second half of this ball game that really cost them. Got to catch the football. He had 7 catches. I don't want to sit here and make it seem like he didn't catch anything that was thrown to him in this game. Guy had 7 grabs in this game for 114 yards and a touchdown. It's not like he wasn't taking care of business, but he struggled catching the football yet again. A couple of drops in this game. Made some great catches, and that's the problem with Jordan Matthews. You get great grabs, then you get some concentration lapses. If he can just eliminate that from his game, he'd be a dynamite receiver for this Eagles football team. And those were my dislikes for the Eagles on the day. Didn't have any banana in the tailpipes other than for the Eagles. Don't expect it to be this easy for Carson Wentz, who almost threw for 300 yards, didn't have an interception, didn't have a turnover, was never really in danger in this football game. don't expect that to be the norm for him. You played the Browns. You took advantage of the Browns, which is what you're supposed to do. But moving forward, just know it's only going to get tougher from here. You're not going to play a team probably again on your schedule that's going to allow him to have the freedom to do whatever it is the hell he wants to do in the football game like the Browns did. So the banana in the tailpipe for the Eagles would be, don't think that Carson Wentz has arrived because of this game. Don't overblow this game. He looked damn good. You should be encouraged by what you saw, but keep it in its proper perspective. It was the Cleveland Browns, and their defense is pretty bad. And for the Browns in this game, you'd like to think that they should be able to get more production out of their offense than they did today. They had opportunities. They didn't take full advantage of all of their opportunities. And so that's pretty frustrating, especially with an offensive mind like Hugh Jackson. You'd like to see them be able to put more points on the scoreboard, but they have to get better defensively. That's where they struggle the most to me right now. They don't get enough stops. They don't generate turnovers. They were never close to turning over Carson Wentz in this game. They were never close to really putting the Eagles in some serious jeopardy in this game. And I take it a step further. I felt like the Eagles receivers were running free, wide open all game long. They got to clean those things up if they want to even have a remote chance of being competitive on most weeks if you're the Cleveland Browns. So that's how I feel about this game. Eagles get it done 29-10, dominate the second half of this ball game, run away from the Cleveland Browns in what was a competitive game until the Browns had the safety and then gave up a touchdown and essentially gave up 9 points in the blink of an eye, and we're out of this game at that point. So we'll get to any comments that you guys may have had on Twitter. I don't see anything in the actual discussion on the YouTube live feed. So if I don't have anything there and I don't have anything here, that's going to do it for the Philadelphia Eagles and the Cleveland Browns in Week 1. Eagles get the win 29-10. Carson Wentz looks spectacular in this game. I thought he handled a lot of the situations. They snap the ball low, does the center. It trickles around the carpet. He scoops it up and almost completes a pass to Jordan Matthews. That kind of poise, even though it didn't end up and result in a complete pass, that kind of poise is what this guy had coming out of North Dakota State. And it's the kind of poise that's going to give this Eagles team a chance in this season with Carson Wentz at quarterback if he can remain healthy. He took some shots in this game. That's the only concern I have for him, other than the mistakes that are going to come because he's a rookie, is can he stay healthy? Okay, he was banged up in high school. He was banged up in college, and he already sustained an injury in the preseason. Can he stay healthy? He took a hell of a shot in this ball game. Can he remain healthy will be probably the biggest question I have for Carson Wentz in his rookie season with the Philadelphia Eagles. That's going to do it for Eagles and Browns. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the lab room on the lockdown coverage, covering the entire league like a blanket here on the Louie Tee Network. Remember, we're changing the game one live feed at a time. I will see you next time. I'm your man, Louie Tee. Lockdown coverage all day tomorrow and some parts of tonight. And don't forget to check me out Sunday Night Football Overtime at the conclusion of Patriots Cards. I'll see you a little bit later on. Enjoy the rest of your evening and the rest of the football.